You're listening to the Geriatric Mamas Podcast with Jessica Raziri
and Sonia Tapley.
Hey mamas, today we're getting rid of some dusty parenting advice, but first we're talking about all the things you missed last week when we were on mute. So sound problems, Sonia's trip to Mexico, and a fun play date with Hayden and his Auntie Kaka. Then we'll be talking about co-sleeping and the cry it out method. 2 hot topics in the parenting and social media world. Plus, we're finally diving into the journey of reprogramming our minds and reparenting ourselves to break unhelpful cycles. You may want to grab a glass of wine. Enjoy, and please subscribe. Mamas, I love a full and silky texture in my face creams because they feel so healing and comforting to my dry, thirsty skin. Well, the award-winning, best-selling, lightweight moisture release water cream by Honest Beauty called Hydrogel Cream refreshes and cools my skin on application and leaves a dewy finish. As I mentioned on the Hope-isode, Kathy's story, I love mixing hydrogel cream into my foundation for a healthy looking glow. Infused with jojoba and squalene to help hydrate and soothe thirst, plus 2 sizes of hyaluronic acid to help soften and firm, reducing the appearance of fine lines. Honest Beauty's Hydrogel Cream will provide a beautiful glow for very dry skin. We're leaving the link below in our show notes. Drink up, mamas.
Mamas, I want to have rosé all day, have fun, and let myself live a little without feeling drunk or feeling hungover the next day. So I treat myself by adding rosé tinted glasses to my sparkling water or lemonade. If you're like me and you're looking for calm daytime energy while feeling alert, present, and uplifted because, well, you know, you're a mom now. Adaptogenic and antioxidant-rich ingredients make rosé tinted glasses from Apothecary great for those battling feelings of stress and looking to curb signs of aging with improved skin tone and moisture. Its tincture format makes it easy to drop wherever you're making it. It's perfect for busy working moms, busy stay-at-home moms who are looking for mood and energy support on the go. We're leaving a link below and in our show notes. So cheers, mamas.
And we're live. We think.
Hopefully there's sound.
Hopefully there's sound. We're back, bitches.
Right.
We hope.
Right. The panic I felt on that Tuesday when I had a moment to get in to try to pull reels. And there was like, I shut my computer down and I turned it back on because our mouths were moving.
Yeah.
But there was no sound coming out. And I was like, okay, sometimes this happens when my computer just needs a reset.
Yeah. If anybody or few listeners out there have noticed that we've been MIA for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We took 1 week off while Sonia was on vacation. And then we recorded. We were supposed to be live again last week.
On the 13th. Yeah.
On the 13th. We recorded an episode. It was a 45-minute long episode. Yeah. And Sonia, all of a sudden, it was like on a Tuesday. I'm in the middle of my work day, and I get this text message of pure panic. She's like, WTF, there's no sound on the recording. Can you please log into Riverside and see what the fuck? I'm like, I'm working. It's going to be a little bit, but like I could tell the panic in her tone. Like I probably needed to check this out. And I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, it just didn't finish uploading. It's fine. It's not a big deal. And I go in, it's fully uploaded. Everything's fine. And there we are.
There's no sound.
0 sound.
I don't know. I think we hit the mute button or something.
It's like when you're at work and you're on like the Zoom call and like somebody calls on you and they start talking, they're like, you're on mute.
Yeah.
You're on mute. It was like one of those moments of an entire 45-minute recording of us on mute.
And it's insane because we had no idea.
No
clue.
None whatsoever. So we've just done 2 tests. And so far, there's sound in both of the tests. So if this comes back with no sound, then maybe it's just our sign that we just need to cut it out.
We need to hang it up.
We need to hang it the fuck up because we're just done. We're just totally done. So in 2 weeks, now we have an actual update for people. I feel like every week it's like, I don't know what's happened.
Yeah.
Now since it's been 2 weeks, because the last they've technically heard from us is not the last that we've spoken to people,
Right.
but the last that they've actually heard from us was
Yeah.
Salem.
We were still there.
Yeah, we were still there. So a lot has happened.
Yeah.
We've had vacations, we've had play dates, we've had dinners, we've had birthdays, we've had
What else have we
a
had?
fire ritual.
Yeah, we did a fire ritual.
Yeah,
We burned some shit.
we burned some shit. Why don't we start with Mexico? You had like some adorable photos
Yeah.
and some cute moments. So basically we get back from Salem and then it was literally like days later Sonia like fucks off to Mexico.
Yeah, no, it was one day. It was 24 hours later.
24 hours later
Yeah.
she fucks off to
So,
Mexico.
like, before I left for Salem on that Friday, I had basically two different suitcases packed. So I had most of my stuff packed for Salem, but I had nothing packed for Annabelle, really. And it was just like, when we got back from Salem, it was like a mad dash. And we had a great time. But I feel like I was just like stressing about not working the entire time because this was like such a sporadic thing. But Annabelle was living her best life.
It seemed like it from all of the videos. She looked so cute.
Yeah.
She was just like totally like embracing.
Yeah, so she loved like the beach, the actual adult pool, the hot tub, which wasn't hot. It was more like just like a warm.
The lukewarm bath.
Yeah, it was like a lukewarm bath. It was perfect for Annabelle. It
Pea
was-
water.
Yeah, it was like pea water. Like you saw kids in there.
Definitely
You
pea
can see.
water. Yeah. Absolutely pea water.
Yeah. So no, but we collected a bunch of seashells. I ended up with like a stomach bug that lasted for a full 10 days. Because when I googled how long does it take for food poisoning / water poisoning from Mexico to go away, it said 10 days. Well, it did not skip a day.
Full 10 days.
Yeah.
It was very
So
thorough.
it's funny because we've been to like other areas of Cancun, and for our honeymoon, we went to, it was basically like this entirely like opposite end, and the resort, I actually asked them if I was able to drink the water and like have the ice and everything, and they were like, yeah, no, everything is totally clean here, everything's really filtered. And so I was like, cool. It kind of debunked my like myth of like, you know, like Charlotte from Sex and the City. I kind of felt like a lot better, and like I didn't get sick or anything. So then I just applied that same information.
You just assumed all resorts were the same and
Right.
it wasn't a big deal.
Right. This one was not filtered, and I didn't think about it. I thought I ate a taco that was bad or something.
No, you were
So-
drinking poop.
Yeah. So then literally. So then I come home and I'm on the phone with my brother, and he's like, Sonia, you're not actually supposed to drink the water in Mexico. There's a real reason for it. Not everyone filters their water. And I was like, well, I didn't gain a pound at this all-inclusive resort.
Well, I mean, how could you when you're literally...
Right. Just give me one of everything, please.
I mean, that's the time to do it when you know, like, I embrace a good stomach flu. I know I've talked about this
Yeah.
before. But, like, I will literally, like, you hate it in the moment, but I'm, like, secretly, like, just do what you need to do. I can ride this out.
Yeah.
And then it's like you back into, like, you know, some new jeans you haven't seen in a little bit. And you're like,
Right.
okay, that's cute.
Right. I feel fine.
Yeah, feel great. Just drink some more water, hydrate yourself, act like it never happened, move on.
Oh god, it's so good. It's like, and then when it goes away, it's like you gotta calm down. You gotta slow it down. You gotta go back to normal pace eating.
Yeah. Yeah, because your stomach is just like, hold on, bitch. Give me a minute.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, anyway, there was that, and then like every night they had like these cute little music dance opportunities for Annabelle. And the first night was like fire dancing, and it was crazy. She was actually trying to be the fire dancers. And she was more of the entertainment. Like, the people were just watching Annabelle and like laughing at her. We got a really good video of her with a bunch of little girls just like dancing around to this woman who was singing some J-Lo covers. And then the last night that we were there, they had this violinist, and she was playing basically like Bridgerton style music. It's
Yeah.
when they have like the songs you hear on the radio, but it's to a violin. And so we decided to do some videos. I decided to do a video of Annabelle and Mike, and it was so cute. They were just dancing. It was just the two of them. And then I was like, here, honey, do you want to get a video of me and Annabelle? So he does this video, and it's like me twirling her, picking her up, and like all that stuff. And so then, of course, I don't have any videos of me and Annabelle. So I immediately wanted to watch the video, and it's like there's 5 seconds of me and Annabelle, and then all of a sudden you see the video. It's like if it could go wink, 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 like that. It's like shaking. The phone is like shaking, and then he turns it horizontal.
I don't understand people that do that midway through.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna reset itself.
Yeah.
Like it never does that.
Like, there's nothing that's gonna happen magically.
No.
And then like we're in the top left hand or right hand corner for like the entire video. Even the parts where it's like a normal video, where like Annabelle and I are like up in the top, like right hand side.
Because he didn't center
Of the
it.
screen, because he wasn't centering it. Listen, we weren't like really actually drinking that much.
It's literally one of those things of like, oh, the photos and videos I take of my husband versus the photos and videos he takes of me. Like, why are they so bad at it?
Right.
I don't understand. Like, do you not have eyeballs? Can you not see visually, like, what looks good?
It's like he had this vision in his mind of it being amazing, like rock star quality, but then he wasn't looking at the screen to see what he was actually videoing.
Jesus Christ. I can't.
Yeah. I mean, husbands, if there are any husbands listening, just be normal.
Just be normal.
Just take pictures of your wife with the babe.
Maybe just watch, like, a
tutorial.
tutorial. Yeah, on how to take a photo if you're truly that unaware of what's happening.
Yeah. And then we got back from Mexico, and we needed a play date.
Yeah, it was a little impromptu. It was it last weekend or the weekend before? I don't even know at this point. But
that week flew by.
It really did. But like it was just we've had like some not amazing weather. Like the snow is kind of hard and gross and it's muddy, and so like I haven't really been letting Hayden go outside much, and like he's loved going outside since we've been here, and I just knew that he was getting restless, and so I quickly did a search of like a little play area, and there was this place in the town next to us called the Play Lot, and so I sent Sonia a text, and I'm like, hey, we're gonna head to the Play Lot if you want to come, and like thankfully she was down, and so they went and met us there, and it was like this cutest little indoor play area. Hayden had the time of his life. He was just running all over the place, and then when Annabelle and Auntie Kaka showed up, it was just like, he was just in heaven. He was like, so excited.
This is the best day ever.
Yeah. There was one part, so where they had like these slides, and there was this like one slide that he was like just loving. He was having like the time of his life, and he was getting ready to go down the slide, and he looks over to his left, and he sees Sonia with Annabelle having this beautiful moment with her daughter on the swings. And all of a sudden, my child, Kaka! Kaka! Auntie Kaka! Screaming Auntie Kaka at the top of the slide. There's children piling up behind him, trying to like go down the slide. And he's just really adamant that he needs Auntie Kaka.
Like before he can go down the slide.
So finally I'm just like, Sonia, and she looks over, I'm like, can you, like, he's screaming for Kaka. And like, she's just like, oh my God. Like literally he was like red in the face screaming for Kaka. So let's just play.
We just like turns around and starts laughing because I'm like, who's Kaka?
I just love how he starts it. It kind of cut into it right away, but he's like, Kaka, where are you? Kaka, Kaka, Kaka. He's just like going off on like the Kaka, and it's like, oh my God. It's just like such a really sweet, beautiful nickname. Like, you know,
really
you could have dreamed of a better nickname for yourself.
Right. No. And it's so funny because I still want to know where it came from.
I don't know.
What is he saying? Was it something funny that I said? Or was it something funny he said?
I don't know. I think he just said it, and he just loves it for you so much.
I love that for him. It's a beautiful bond. Yeah, and then I feel like I understand why he needed me to be there to go down the slide, because remember at August's birthday, and we were like, it was just slide heaven.
Yeah.
And we were like,
He loves himself some Auntie Kaka, that's for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, this place was decked out really cute, also in like their little birthday area. So we decided that we're gonna do Annabelle's birthday there.
It's adorable. It's so cute. It's so aesthetically on par with our vibe.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's get started.
Let's get started.
Yeah,
Enough chit chat.
So today we're getting rid of some dusty parenting advice. We're talking about co-sleeping and the cry it out method, two hot topics in the parenting and social media world. Plus, we're finally diving into the journey of reprogramming our minds and reparenting ourselves to break unhelpful cycles. You may want to grab a glass of wine, but enjoy and please subscribe.
So, a topic that I have been very vocal about since we've started this podcast is the cry it out method. It's a type of sleep training where babies are left to cry for specific periods before being comforted. And it has been a topic of debate amongst parents and experts. Some studies suggest that it can help babies learn to self-soothe and improve sleep for both parents and children. However, critics argue that it may lead to increased stress levels for the child and potential attachment issues, as it could undermine the trust between the baby and parent. It's important for parents to weigh the pros and cons, consider their child's temperament, and choose a method that aligns with their own values and circumstances. Each family is different, and what works for one may not work for another. Consulting with a pediatrician or a child sleep expert can also provide guidance tailored to individual needs. So here's a video of Erica Commissar, apologies if I'm saying that incorrectly, who's a therapist, psychoanalyst, social worker, and parenting expert with over 30 years of experience about the harms of sleep training.
First of all, it's neurologically damaging to children under the age of 1. You should not sleep train a child under the age of 1, period. I'm going to repeat that. You should not sleep train a child under the age of 1. When they cry, they need you. When they cry, they're scared. They're in distress. If you don't respond to their distress, all you're teaching them is that the world is an unsafe place and you are an untrustworthy attachment figure for them. And they go into life believing that. And they carry that into their relationships in the future. And they literally feel lonely and alone. So it's a great way to give a child a foundation of mental illness. Okay, so don't sleep train your child under the age of 1. After that, you can teach a child to sleep depending on the child. Very sensitive children, particularly little boys, because little boys are more neurologically fragile than little girls, do not do well sleeping on their own when they're really little. I mean, children want to be proximate to their parents. Now, you can get them to sleep in another room, but particularly if you've given them a good solid foundation, it's a lot easier. So things like sleep training or dropping kids off at daycare, adults want to believe it's okay because it suits them, but it's not okay. Because when you teach a child learned helplessness, again, all you're teaching them is that you can't be trusted.
That is exactly how I felt about the cry it out method from the beginning. It's like, what are you teaching the child in this moment? You are literally teaching the child that when you are the most frightened, when you are at like complete despair, and when you are crying out for me, I am not going to be there.
Yeah.
You are alone.
Yeah. No, I know.
It's devastating, and like it just didn't feel natural to me.
Right. No, me neither.
It just didn't feel right. Like everything in me is like, go to him. He needs you. He's scared.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Like I don't.
I can't imagine just leaving a helpless little baby.
No, and it's like the advice of, you know, there's so many books out there that are saying like, oh, the baby is manipulating you, and you know, you keep running to them, and they're gonna know that every time they cry, you're gonna run to them. Okay.
The fact that people
Good.
fall for this.
Let him know that when he calls for me, I'm going to be there. Let him know that I'm a reliable resource for him. Let him know that I'm comfort when he's scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want him to know that.
Right.
Good.
And I don't understand. It's like, it's hard to believe that parents just were like, oh, okay, and like fully embraced that mentality.
They were shamed.
Right.
I was shamed for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
was
I
a
know
little
I
bit
was
at the
shamed for
hospital.
it by, like, you know,
Yeah.
some family members and some friends. And,
Yeah.
and it's just because we've had, like, society has this, like, dusty mindset
Yeah.
of, like, these beliefs of, like, what, because they were told years ago of, like, this is how it is. And it's like they're totally, like, no research is being done to realize of, like, actually, no, there's evidence to prove that this is actually very harmful for a child.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
Yeah. No, in the hospital I was a little bit shamed, but then like one of the nurses popped a pacifier in her mouth, and we weren't gonna do the whole pacifier thing, and they had one of those little green ones, and they just like popped it in her mouth.
God, those
and I
green
was
ones.
like, and then I didn't really let her out of my arms, but it definitely did help her, like when she didn't want to like eat, but she wanted something in her mouth.
Yeah.
It definitely helped, but like they were like, you need to put her down. And I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna do that.
That it really annoyed me too, and I got shamed for that in the hospital as well. I just wanted to hold
Yeah.
my baby, and I felt like everybody was going out of their way to tell me to put my baby down, and everybody was going out of the way to try to take my baby away from me.
Yeah.
Let me bring him to the nursery. Let me bring him here. Let me bring him there. And I'm like, fucking leave me alone.
Yeah.
I'm a grown-ass woman. I will tell you if I want you to take my
Right.
baby or not, and I don't want you to.
And it was also extremely stressful for me when she would cry, whether it was newborn, whether it was 2 months, 3 months. Anytime I heard her cry, and it was like, it wasn't just like a whine or a whimper, it was like a real cry, I would get stressed not holding her.
It hurts.
Yeah.
Like, there would be everything in our bodies as women because we are still connected to them. Their DNA is in us. Like, we feel when they're in distress. And everything in me and you know, are just like, go to them.
Right.
And why are we trying to go against natural motherly instincts?
Right.
Why are we trying to go against what is a natural thing to do? Why? Because like a couple of men wrote a book and decided that like this is how it's supposed to be for
Right.
women.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
all listen to it.
No, I mean, and even I remember one time when she was, I think she was like 4 to 6 months or something, one of like, somebody looked at me and they were like, have you ever just, you know, thought about letting her cry? And I was like, I looked at them in the eyes, and it was like one of those moments where like I was stressed out too, because like I needed to be the one like helping her or holding her, and I looked at them in the eyes and I was like, absolutely not. No. And they were like, oh, okay. But like it's just like, no, I haven't thought about that. I mean, I thought about like practicing the pause for like a couple of seconds to see if like she actually really is upset.
Right. Like, well, that's different. We're not
Right.
talking like, I'm not saying like the second you hear like this smidge of a whimper, you run to them.
Right.
Like, give it a minute, because
Yeah.
sometimes like kids are doing that when they wake up, or they're adjusting, or they're just falling asleep, or it's just like they're being vocal for a
Yeah.
minute, right? But you know, as a mother, the difference.
Yeah.
And like when you hear just like a little like whimper, it's like give it a pause, wait to see what it is. And then when it turns into, you know, the other thing that literally takes over your entire body,
Yeah.
go to them.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's like the amygdala or something. It's like once they realize that they're really upset, but they don't know how to control it at a certain, like up until they're like a certain age, it's like their amygdala goes off and that's when they start like boo-boo crying. I can't remember. It's a whole thing. I remember too, like, I was going to be really big about practicing the pause because I had read one of the French parenting books. And it's all about, you know, sleep training basically with practicing the pause. But it's casual. There's no like set time frame. It's like when you know you got to go get them, you know you got to go get them.
Right.
But we always had Annabelle in really close proximity. I remember like I was kind of like scared to have her sleep next to me or anything. So anytime it was nap time or anytime it was time to go to bed for the night, she would be in one of her bassinets. Whether we're downstairs, she would be in her bassinet downstairs. If we're upstairs, it was like the one that attaches to the bed.
Oh, I love those. We had one of
yeah.
those. It was amazing.
But, like, I felt, because, like, I always had her with me in my arms or, like, whatever, because that's how we were when we weren't sleeping. I felt, like, weird putting her down to sleep. It was like she was sleeping, like, she would fall asleep on me, and she was sleeping really soundly and peacefully and, like, happily, and then I would put her down, and I would get maybe 30 minutes if I was lucky. And then I remember one day I was just like, you know what, screw it. Like, she needs sleep. I need to sit down for a minute. And I just put her on top of me, and I sat down to watch a show, and she slept for almost 2 hours, and it was the most peaceful 2 hours I had had since she was born. I think she was like almost 2 months at that point. I was like, why have I not done this before?
Yeah.
This needs to be a thing. And I hadn't done it before because I was so scared of, like, all the things they say about co-sleeping and how they can suffocate and, like, all that stuff. I hadn't even thought about it. Even though I was doing attachment parenting with her always on me, I never thought about co-sleeping because of, like, all the dangers.
Yeah, same thing. And I did the same thing with Hayden too. Like, I mean, he was in our room until I want to say like 4 months. And then when he moved to his room, the rooms were still like attached. So he was like always in very, very close proximity. But I like needed him right next to me. We had the same bassinet thing. Like, I would literally sleep with my arm, like my hand on his back or hand on his belly, like while I'm sleeping. So he could always feel that I was nearby. And that's another, like you said, that's another big topic that is very controversial, is the whole co-sleeping thing, because I was also very nervous of like, don't fall asleep, you don't want to suffocate him, you know, you don't want to do this, you want to do that. And the truth is it's actually a very natural thing to sleep, have your child sleep on you. So co-sleeping, for those that aren't understanding what we're talking about, so it's where the parents and children share the same bed or sleep in close proximity of each other. And like we said, it's a topic that people go back and forth on all the time. But again, there's new studies and research to show it's actually... that's how it's supposed to be. That's like the most natural thing. So the benefits of co-sleeping, bonding. So co-sleeping can strengthen the emotional bond between parents and their children. And I will say I can attest to this, because before coming out to Maine, Hayden very much loved his own room. He was really good in his crib. Like, he was great. Like, he was a really sound sleeper by himself. Everything's fine. And then where we're staying right now, the arrangement, we're sharing a room. And to try to tell this little boy, like, sleep over there and I'm going to sleep here, he's like, F you. No, I'm going over to you. And so we've kind of organically fallen into this whole co-sleeping thing. And we were already really close. He was already a mama's boy. And I will tell you, he is like way more attached to me. Like, the bond that him and I have, it just feels so much stronger. Like, I can tell that he just, like, you just feel his little body go,
so much better.
You know? So I've felt this and seen it firsthand. It's also another benefit is for convenience. So it makes, for those that just had the baby, it makes for nighttime feeding, particularly breastfeeding, more convenient and less disruptive to a parent's sleep cycle. So the natural way for a baby to eat, it's supposed to be on-demand feeding. That's how, like, not to compare us to in the wild, but that's how it's done in the wild. Animals do it. That's how it was centuries ago. You're supposed to be able to sleep with the baby, and the baby can nurse. They're right on your chest, and they can nurse whenever they're hungry, and it's just like on demand at their disposal whenever they need it. It sounds crazy because, like, we've been programmed to think that it has to be this, like, structured, you're going to eat when I tell you to eat, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do that. 2 full ounces, you know, around the clock, every 2 to 3 hours, and whatever. But that's actually not natural, and it's actually not good for their digestion either.
We had such bad colic and acid or just reflux issues with Annabelle when we were trying to, like, shove the 2 ounces down her throat however many. We had to backtrack on that and like do a lot of research to figure out what was actually best for her. Because not every baby has a 2 ounce size stomach.
No, and it goes back to, like, every child and what they need. It's different. It's gonna be different for every single baby. Another benefit is security. Some believe that it provides children with a sense of security and comfort, which can be reassuring for both the child and the parent. And I agree with this. And one of the things that in the video she said before was that, you know, it's particularly like little boys with like, you know, having a hard time sleeping and, you know, getting scared and stuff. And Hayden very much, it's so funny because one of the things he's been doing lately, he's getting onto my tricks. So I wait for him to fall asleep on me. He has to be on me, fully on top of me. And I wait till he's falling asleep, and then I kind of like roll out, and then I kind of like army crawl, barrel like off the bed, and then like kind of like sneak out of the room. Well, lately what he's been doing is like he'll get on top of me, but he clenches onto my shirt, like he holds it like a death grip. And so like he knows, because he knows I'm gonna try to sneak away. And so then as I try to go, I'm like, I have this like death grip on my sweater, and I'm just like, okay. And I'm like slowly trying to pry the little fingers off, and then he wakes up, and then he's just like, no bitch, and he like gets back on me again. I'm like, damn, like this is like so aggressive.
Yeah, he's gonna wean from that. It's crazy. Like, I don't know, Annabelle is technically like weaning herself from co-sleeping right now.
Yeah, but you said that she started doing it kind of naturally on her own, right?
Yeah,
like she's like, oh, this is a bed, I want to go try to sleep in my own bed.
Like, she has her own room, there is a bed in it, and it's like set up, but like for a while there it was just filled with all of her stuffed animals, and then one day she was like, I want to sleep in here, so we made it like her actual bed instead of her stuffed animals bed.
Right.
And then we read books together, blah blah blah. And like she still wants to sleep next to me. So she's talking about, when I sleep in my big girl bed. Like she's talking to us about it in conversation.
Yeah.
So she's slowly getting herself mentally prepared. We're not really pushing her towards it.
Because you didn't mention it at all. She just decided on her own that she wanted to do it. That's really, I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So we have a video that we're going to share, and it's by Happy Co-Sleeper and Dr. Stephanie Libbs.
Babies never slept alone. They never self-soothed until two men, who had never raised children, decided they should. Meet the creators, Dr. L. Emmett Holt and John B. Watson, a pediatrician and a psychologist, both with zero experience raising children, became the world's biggest experts on how mothers should care for babies. Watson's direct quote from 1928. Never hug and kiss them. Never let them sit on your lap. If you must, kiss them once on the forehead when they say goodnight.
If you must.
This is who created modern sleep advice. Why did people listen to them? Their timing was perfect. Factories demanded scheduled workers. Doctors wanted more authority. Science was replacing tradition. Society was obsessed with becoming modern. The message was simple. Modern mothers follow schedules. Scientific mothers use training. Only backward, primitive mothers respond to their baby's needs. It wasn't just advice. It was a complete transformation of how society viewed motherhood. For millions of years, babies slept near their mothers. They were fed on demand. They cried to communicate. Then, two men decided this needed to be more efficient for factory schedules. Your instincts aren't wrong. You're not being manipulated by your baby. You're fighting against rules created by men who never experienced parenthood, designed to serve factory owners, not babies.
Amen. Like, how real is that?
I can't believe that we fell for it. Us intelligent women. But I mean, I guess we needed to work.
I mean, did we? Did we? That's a topic for another day. And they're still falling for it.
Yeah,
We're still falling for it. People are still reading the books. People are still going by this advice. And they're not really looking at the root of how it started and why it started and why suddenly it had to change. Co-sleeping is instinctual.
Right.
It's instinctual to go to your baby when they're crying. It's instinctual to like want to have your baby on you.
Right. And like in the video, which I'm going to put in the show notes, but in the video, it shows modern mothers trying to fall asleep draped over a crib. So I actually had many of those moments before I started co-sleeping with Annabelle. And let me tell you, I got the best night's sleep the first night I decided to start co-sleeping with Annabelle. Like, I hadn't slept like that in months because she would cry or I was worried about her breathing, or whatever it was. But when she was sleeping next to me, I could literally feel her breathing, or feel her heart beating, or whatever. And she never woke up to start crying. Like, she just was sleeping. If she needed reassurance that someone was right there, you could feel her either reach out a toe or like a finger or something, and she was like, oh, okay. And she like went back to sleep.
Well, also, it's 9 months of them hearing your heartbeat.
Yeah.
9 months of them hearing all of your innards and your organs and your breathing and like the up and down movement of your belly, right?
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. But so it's like to just strip them from that and expect that not to be soothing for them and not to feel comforted by that is just like, it's not normal. I saw another video, and again, not to keep comparing us to animals, but like we're all fucking animals at the end of the day, where it was like, imagine telling a mother monkey, like, you can't hold your baby, you can't feed your baby whenever they're hungry, you can't.
They're telling a mama polar bear.
Yeah, that this baby can't sleep on you.
Right.
Dare to, like, it is instinctual for your baby to be on you.
Yeah.
Like, it's not normal. And it's because of society's need for, like, economic growth and thinking that women need to, like, we're putting way too much on women.
Yeah.
Like, way too much. Like, being a mother itself is, like,
keeping an individual alive.
You are. This is a human. This is a tiny human that you are responsible for.
Yeah. They know
that is
nothing.
so much pressure.
They come into this world as a blank slate. They know nothing except for when they're hungry, when they're thirsty, when they have to go to the bathroom, and all other than that, they're like emotions, and that's it.
We're like society's convincing women that it is not, like, you are considered a bad mother if you run to your child every time they cry. You are considered a dangerous mother, and you're putting your child in harm if you have them co-sleep with you. You are considered a lazy mother if you are a stay-at-home mom. That doesn't work. You are supposed to put your child in daycare. You are you're doing your child a disservice if you're not letting them interact with other kids and go to preschool and do all these things. I saw another video that was, and because this is one of the things that I was kind of feeling like my own mom guilt for, is the fact that, like, Hayden's not in preschool right now. He's home with me. Like, I feel very fortunate that I work from home and I'm able to have him with me, and I have, like, around the clock help, my current situation. And so I'm able to have him nearby. And there was a part of me that I'm just like, I want him interacting. I want him learning. I want him doing all these things. And I think it was like, I don't remember the age limit, but I almost want to say it was like under 3. And I'm not saying that, like, kids aren't getting anything from preschool. I'm not saying they're not absorbing it. They are. But at the age of under 3, they actually learn the most through play and self-discovery and playing. Like, that is how they learn things the most. Like, Annabelle, she hasn't gone to preschool at all, and, like, she has, like, the best vocabulary, like, I have heard from any other child her age. Like, she is just, like, so sharp, so smart, so witty, so funny. And, like, Hayden, too, like, I was, like, nervous as well. I'm like, am I, like, hindering him? Am I holding him back? But he is just the most curious little boy. He's a sponge. He, like, absorbs everything. Like, the other day, I was working, and then I just hear, I all of a sudden hear him, and he's counting his shoes. He literally counted all the way up to 10 by himself without even prompted. Now, I've worked with him a few times and, like, obviously, and, like, taught him how to count, but he's always counted with me. He's never counted by himself.
Right.
And so it's just, like, I think we need to, like, really, like, I think women today are so concerned with being shamed and being labeled a bad mom, and they want to make sure that they're doing everything by the book. And we're moving away from common sense. And I think a lot of women need to just take a pause. Like, my biggest advice to any woman who's just having a baby, or, like, you just found out that they're pregnant, or just whatever, like a new mom, is to follow your instincts. Listen to your gut. You are going to know what is best for you and your baby. You are going to know. If you feel that, like, okay, you may have read all these books and it told you to put that baby down, but if in your heart and in your gut it's telling you to hold on to that baby, you hold on to that baby.
You really have to go with what's going to make you happy. And I remember for me, it was such a huge weight off my shoulders when I started doing the whole baby carrier or just holding her or having her fall asleep on me. Like, it was just this huge weight off my shoulders because she wasn't crying anymore.
Yeah.
And so other people might have a completely different experience because there are some very independent babies out there. But I mean, you know, just do what's right for you.
Yeah. Hey, mamas, are you someone who's 35 plus and struggled with fertility, endured a miscarriage, experienced heartbreaking fostering or adoption challenges, or were perhaps flat out told by a doctor that you will never conceive naturally, and despite the odds, eventually found your happy ending by becoming a mama?
Send us your story at geriatricmamas.com. We would love to feature your journey to motherhood on a future Geriatric Mamas episode. So then there's attachment parenting, which is basically what we're talking about. Like, I feel like what I'm saying when I'm saying I felt so much better when I decided to just hold her when she wanted to be held, which was all the time. Have her sleep on me, which, like, all of this made her stop crying. This is actually all part of attachment parenting. And I didn't know about attachment parenting until I started doing all of this. Because I started researching it. Mike and I both did. And he was like, oh, we were just like, we both had like this light bulb moment that this is what we needed to be doing for Annabelle.
That's what I did for Hayden. It just felt the most natural to me.
I feel like one of the things that I did not know going into childbirth or newborn like stage is exactly how primitive birth and motherhood actually is. Like, I thought it was like they come out and then they're like, oh, let me just like sleep by myself. Like, I thought this, like, I didn't know how it was gonna go, but I had no idea how, like, this child is literally like, when you see videos of like baby monkeys, they look very much like a human because they are, but it's like their motions and their movements and their instinct to feed, it all is like an animal.
Yeah.
It really, truly is. It's crazy. But attachment parenting is a philosophy developed by William and Martha Sears. It emphasizes nurturing a strong bond between parents and children through practices like breastfeeding, baby wearing, co-sleeping, and responsive parenting, aiming to foster secure attachment and emotional well-being. So, a more detailed explanation is responding to infant cues. Attachment parenting emphasizes being highly responsive to a baby's needs and cues, believing that consistent responsiveness fosters trust and security. So just like the lady was saying in the video, trust. Physical closeness. Practices like baby wearing, co-sleeping, and skin-to-skin contact are encouraged to promote physical closeness and strengthen the parent-child bond. Breastfeeding. Attachment parenting often advocates for breastfeeding, viewing it as a natural and beneficial way to nourish and bond with a baby. The Sears emphasized the importance of a positive birth experience and bonding with the baby immediately after birth. Belief in the baby's cry. Attachment parenting encourages parents to trust their baby's cues and respond to their cries rather than trying to suppress them. And beware of baby trainers. Attachment parenting discourages the use of baby training methods that can potentially interfere with the baby's natural development and attachment. And balance. Attachment parenting advocates for finding a balance between the needs of the child and the needs of the parent.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what is going to work best for you and working best for, you know, your child as well. I mean, you're going to know. And the thing is it's like the way that society is today, it's not set up for women to do things that are always the most natural.
Right.
You know, like there are circumstances that prevent women from being able to do the attachment method and be as available as they would like to be, you know. But for those that are able to do it, you know, listen to your gut. Like, I know for me, like wearing Hayden while I was cooking and cleaning and, you know, he was happy, he was content. I was happy and content because he wasn't screaming and he was sleeping and he was happy and peaceful. And also just like having that reassurance, like you were saying before, that like I feel him breathing, I know he's alive, I feel his little heartbeat, like I feel good. So it's just doing what works for you and not trying to like reinvent the wheel and go against what feels the most natural either. And don't feel shamed by like what you think, but like just because a book says this is what it's supposed to be. Like says who?
Right. Take bits and pieces from everything you love and what works for you.
Yeah.
Because like there are parts of that French parenting book that I still love. And I'm glad I did. And then it's also inspirational for when they get older. And, you know, there's other things that like as we were Googling and researching, we kept some things and we got rid of a whole lot. You know, and I mean, it's like you can tell when you read something if it's going to help you and if it's going to be for you and your baby or if it's not. But just like do all the research, Google all the things.
It's what I like to say. This isn't my own thing. I heard this a while ago, but it's like, don't let rule replace reason.
Yeah.
So there are guidelines. There's a broad, like a general idea of what can work. It doesn't mean that this is the end all be all of what is going to work. It just gives you the tools and the guides of like different ideas of how to parent and how to mother your baby. But like at the end of the day, you do what feels the most right and most comfortable and most natural for you and your baby.
Yeah. And then if you don't and you fuck it all up, then they'll have to do some reparenting or something.
Yeah, if you fuck it all up, they'll just reparent themselves later in life,
so
like we are.
Doesn't matter. So none of this actually matters because your child can reparent themselves.
Yeah, so basically, like, you can have a do-over later in life.
So get out your wine because we're about to jump into reparenting.
Oh, God, here we go.
Brace yourself.
Brace yourselves for some reparenting.
I find this topic so important. I discovered it last year, and now it is a whole section in my dating coaching program that, like, in case nobody's ever heard of it but needs it, it's there. Like, it's got to be sprinkled in everywhere.
Yeah, we've mentioned this, like, I don't remember what episode it was. We briefly touched on reparenting a while ago, but we never really, like, dove into it. So
I've been itching.
Yeah. Well, let's just scratch that itch, shall we?
For those of you who don't know what reparenting is, it is exactly what it sounds like. It's a therapeutic approach that involves an individual addressing unmet developmental needs from their childhood and providing themselves with the care, nurturing, and guidance they may not have received during their formative years. This concept can be applied in therapy with the support of a mental health professional, or it can be a personal endeavor as part of self-healing and personal development. And I mean, even if, and I know that we said this in another episode, but even if you were parented at an extremely high level, there are still things, especially during the years when you can't talk or when you don't fully understand what's going on in your atmosphere around you, that parents aren't really able to parent to the best of their abilities because they don't know, like, they can't read your mind.
Right.
And things could seem like really dramatic. Little tiny things could feel really dramatic to our tiny little bodies and brains when we don't know what's going on around us and it seems, you know, dark. So I think reparenting is good for everyone. And it's something where if you're not going to do it with a therapist, you can journal it. You can like write down a situation, you can like write down a future fear or whatever, and then kind of Google it. But I think we should jump into the RuPaul video first because that kind of explains the verbiage of what you would say. All right, I'm gonna click into it. So this is, I think it's like a 2.5 to 3 minute long video, but it's worth it, especially once you get towards the end.
My parents divorced when I was 7, so I would get picked up by my father on weekends, and I would wait on the front porch for him to pick me up, and he would never show up. So in therapy, all roads led directly to that moment. And what I've learned from my experience with my father, and I think a lot of you can relate to this, is that he wasn't present enough to see what an incredible opportunity there was waiting for him on that porch. That was his choice. And I can only guess that it would have been too much for him to be present for his own life. It would have been too much for him to accept the amount of love I had for him. He was a alcoholic, compulsive gambler. He was doing everything he could to not be present for that moment. And I was acknowledging this present moment. I've had my own struggles with not wanting to be here right now. In fact, my thinking was, this is all too much for me. I'm just going to tune out until it's over. Just wake me when it's done. Until I realized, I want to be present for my life. And this is where your power is. This is where the healing is. This is where the healing of trauma. Because when I think about the trauma of back then, waiting on that porch for my father to show up and he never came, that's an old wound that happened in the past. It's not happening right now. And I have to take my child in my arms and say, baby, listen to me. That had nothing to do with you. He was a fool. He would have had so much more fun with you. He would have had so much more fun with you. That's him. Now, what are we going to do to repair your heart right now? What we're going to do is we're going to have you treat yourself with all the love and kindness that you wanted him to treat you with. You're not going to repeat his mistakes. And you repair that here and now. You don't revisit the past to just to collect some evidence and to see what was really happening. Actually, I feel sorry for him because he missed out. And it forced me to understand my own value, not through someone else, but for myself, which is the most valuable thing you can do, is to understand your own value. Because when I really looked at it with adult eyes, with clear eyes, I was able to see that it wasn't personal. It was not personal. Now, my sweet, gorgeous little heart was broken, and it was personal to me because I thought, who's better than being with me? And it's an interesting question just because I have relived that sitting on the front porch scenario with other people, other relationships, where that's the tender spot where it kept coming up. But it was important for me to see it with clear eyes.
So that is from RuPaul's class on Masterclass. It's really good. You can just search for him in there. The whole, I would say, beginning part is relevant to everyone. I think the last part is more for those who want a good stage presence, which is still helpful for a lot of things in life.
Yeah.
About, people who have to do presentations or whatever, but it's such a good class. If you're looking for a way to reparent yourself and heal from past mistakes or traumas, here's a little tip that can be very helpful. When you make a mistake, need validation, or feel unsure, search Google for parenting tips about the mistake you made or situation that's happened. Something like, my child did X behavior today. Then Google will give you several healthy ways to parent yourself through the situation. It's all about finding the best advice out there. So go through the suggestions, pick out what resonates with you, and use that wisdom to care for yourself the way you should have been cared for through these kinds of situations as a child. It's also a nice way to give your past self the love and understanding they needed, because you can Google parenting tips for any past traumas that you may still be remembering and deal with. So I like how he said in his video that that one thing kept coming up, so he was able to kind of reparent himself through that, and it was one of his biggest traumas. I mean, I don't know how he learned how to do that on his own, or they learned how to do that on their own.
Have you ever watched RuPaul's Drag Race? Have you ever watched it?
I watched it for the first probably couple of episodes or whatever.
I watched a few episodes, and that was the first time, because before I really understood everything RuPaul was about, I guess I just assumed oh, it's just another drag queen show or whatever. And then watching the show, it's almost like America's Next Top Model, where you have Tyra really gets into it with the therapy and psychology of modeling and everything. And then that's where I really learned of my God, he has like the most beautiful mind. Like the way that like he views the world and thinks about things, and like the things that he was like saying to like all of the cast and stuff. And like that's when I first realized just like how deep like he gets. So I mean, you sent me that clip last week, and that's when I was just like, yeah, absolutely, we need to put this in here, because I feel like it definitely ties in and everything, because it goes back to how our parents were parenting us. In that moment, they were doing the best that they could, and they were doing what they thought was right, and they were doing what they were taught. But it doesn't mean that like that was necessarily the right way to parent. And you could have like the most amazing childhood, like you said, and there's still gonna be things in your past that you're gonna want to go back and reparent yourself on, or go back that it really stand out to you as like a significant moment that has just kind of stuck with you. Not in the best way. And it's not necessarily because it's something that your parents did wrong, but it's just how we would have handled it today, or how they might have handled it today would have been different because of what they learned. So I think this is valuable even for those, like, it doesn't have to be like somebody who had this big traumatizing childhood. I think just like really being aware of it, and like really like going back and like kind of like just nurturing your past self, your past little child, and just being like, this wasn't your fault, this is okay, you were valid in your feelings, this is all right.
Right. And even in like everyday like circumstances too, if you have like big anxiety about something or blah blah blah, you can just kind of reparent yourself through that. And there's so many examples of, you know, healthy parenting, whether it be on TV or Google or wherever, and it's like when you're in the moment of like a stressful situation and you literally don't know what to say or do for yourself, like those are the kinds of things that you can kind of bring up and remember, is like basically the things that RuPaul is saying, or Google it in a second if you have to, or go to ChatGPT, or like whatever is your thing, and just pull it up, and just that can be your way to self-soothe if you don't have the words to say to yourself.
Well, I think that's all we have today.
Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully it resonated. I know there's so many controversial things that we talked about.
I know, we're probably going to get canceled from this episode alone, but it's fine.
It was time.
It was time. We've remained silent for long enough, and now we're just, here we go. I feel like Instagram definitely knows like my triggers, because like all of a sudden I started getting all these videos, and so I just started blasting them to Sonia, and I'm like, all right, that's it. We're going to literally talk about dusty old parenting advice, and we just need to like address this right now, because I can't. We're just done.
We need to do reparenting as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we need to reparent. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Be sure to tune in next week. Your support is keeping the podcast going. You can help by following, subscribing, rating, reviewing, and especially by telling a friend to listen anywhere or watch on YouTube.
For more info, you can check out our website at geriatricmamas.com. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at geriatric_mamas, on YouTube at Geriatric Mamas, Twitter at Geriatric Mamas, and follow our group page on Facebook, Geriatric Mamas.
If you have a topic idea that you'd like us to discuss, are interested in being a guest, or simply have a funny geriatric story to tell, you can go to geriatricmamas.com and hit be a guest, or send us your story. Bye-bye.